Hi, my name's Lemuel. Welcome to Self-Invested, where we talk about how you can do better with money. In this video, I'm going to be talking about two major changes that the government is making to the housing industry, which are going to have a major impact on the Help to Buy scheme and also the housing industry more widely. I'm not going to be going into the specific changes that are being made to the Help to Buy scheme. I've already done a video talking about those changes, and you can find a link to it by clicking on the card above my head, but also I'll provide a link down in the description below. Try and have a watch of it. I talk about some of the changes, such as the interest rate growing by CPI, the Consumer Price Index, plus 2% instead of RPI, the Retail Price Index, plus 1%, which it currently grows by. Grows by in the old scheme. I talk about what the implications are for Help to Buy borrowers, and I haven't seen many videos that explain that. I don't think I've seen any video that explains what the implication of that change is. So if you haven't watched it and you're interested in the Help to Buy scheme, I definitely recommend that you watch it. Hey guys, I'm just going to jump in here quickly. I've recorded this part of the video after making this video that you're watching. The video that you're watching was actually recorded before the government made their announcement on the 7th of January to abolish ground rent for all new leases. I was actually going to release the video you're watching on the 12th of January, but then the government made that announcement, and it was such a big one, such a major change to the leasehold system, that I actually put this video on the shelf and quickly made a video to cover that announcement. I'm about to talk about ground rent and the fact that under the new Help to Buy scheme, builders can't charge ground rent on new build leasehold properties. Now this sounds similar to the announcement from the government, but the difference between the announcement and from the government and the change to the Help to Buy scheme is that the announcement made by the government is not yet law, but the change that's been made to the Help to Buy scheme is already a rule. So any property that's sold under the new Help to Buy scheme can't charge ground rent. So that means that the Help to Buy scheme is essentially ahead of the game when it comes to the changes that are going to be made to the law. And I think this is a major benefit that you get with Help to Buy that you might not get if you don't buy a new build property under the Help to Buy scheme. Anyway, I'll leave you to continue watching the video. Hope you enjoy. The first major change that the government have made, which is going to have a major impact on the Help to Buy scheme, is that they've said that any house that's sold under the Help to Buy scheme needs to have a peppercorn ground rent. Now, a peppercorn ground rent essentially means that the ground rent is zero. It's nothing. There's no ground rent to pay. By removing ground rent from the lease agreement between a leaseholder and a freeholder, it means that the leaseholder's ownership of their property is strengthened. Now, this is because, as I explained in my last video, that because a leaseholder has to pay rent to the freeholder ordinarily, if they don't pay that rent, then technically they'll be in breach of their lease. And if they breach the terms of their lease, then there's a chance that the freeholder will have the ability to repossess their property. By removing ground rent, this means that the risk of a freeholder being able to repossess a leaseholder's flat is removed, and that strengthens the leaseholder's ownership. Now that's one positive change that's coming about by making ground rent a peppercorn rent. Now another benefit of ground rent being removed or becoming a peppercorn rent is that leasehold properties are going to become more affordable to homeowners. Now previously, when leaseholders had to pay ground rent, there were certain situations where ground rent was increasing very steeply, and those homes that leaseholders bought became quickly unaffordable. Now this turned into something that was called the leasehold scandal, and there are 4 house builders that are currently being investigated about this. By removing ground rent from any of the Help to Buy schemes, it means that this is not something that leaseholders are going to worry about. They're not going to have to worry about how their ground rent increases over time. Now, the next benefit I want to talk about, which comes about because ground rent is being removed from leasehold properties, is that when you come to extend your lease, if you ever have to extend your lease, it's going to be a lot cheaper to extend your lease than it would have been if you had ground rent. Now, this is because when you pay to extend your lease, you have to compensate the freeholder for any ground rent they would have received over the remaining term of your lease. So say you had an outstanding lease of 90 years when you came to extend your lease, you would have to compensate the freeholder for ground rent over those 90 years. Whatever the ground rent would have been over those 90 years, you actually have to compensate the freeholder for that loss of revenue or that loss of income that they would have received over that period. So the fact that ground rent is being removed from lease agreements under the new Help to Buy scheme, it means that it will be a lot more affordable, it will be a lot cheaper if a tenant or if a freeholder had to extend their lease. Another benefit that's come about because of this change in policy from the government is that 5 major house builders have said that they're going to remove ground rent from all of their new build developments. These 5 house builders are Barratt Homes, Bellway, Berkeley Group, Taylor Wimpey and Countryside. So in addition to removing ground rent from all their new developments, 3 of those house builders have also announced that they're going to be extending the initial length of their leases. The first is Countryside, who have said that they're going to increase their initial lease length to 250 years, and the other 2 are Bellway Homes and Barratt Homes, and they've announced that they're going to be extending their initial lease length to 999 years. Now this is almost as good as having a share of the freehold, because if you're not paying any ground rent to the freeholder and your lease is 999 years, there's no money you're going to need to pay to the freeholder, and you're not ever going to really have to extend your lease. So you pretty much own that property forever. In addition to granting 999-year leases on these new build flats, they're also going to give residents the right to manage their buildings. Now, this is another major benefit to leaseholders. Currently, if you have a leasehold flat with one of these developers, then you usually have an independent management company that is managing the maintenance of your buildings. Now, they don't usually work for the residents, they work for the freeholder, and so the service that they provide is not always the best value or the best quality. All they actually have to do is provide a reasonable service and at a reasonable cost. But what a reasonable service is and what a reasonable cost is quite woolly, so they can get away with a lot. By giving residents the ability to manage their own buildings, this means that the residents can either manage it themselves or they can appoint a management company to manage it on their behalf. So that management company will be directly answerable to or accountable to the residents, and if they don't do a good job they can get rid of them. If they're not happy with the cost, then they can find someone else, or they can just decide to manage it for themselves. So that gives residents a lot more control of their property and actually strengthens their ownership of their flat and also their building. But at the moment it's only, as I said, Bellway Homes and Barratt Homes that have announced that they're going to be granting management of their buildings to the residents. The next major change that the government are making to the housing industry, which is going to have a very positive impact for the Help to Buy scheme, is that they've said they're going to create a new Home Ombudsman. And once that new Home Ombudsman is created, any house builder that wants to build a new build property that's sold under the Help to Buy scheme will need to be a member, and this new Home Ombudsman is going to be an independent body which will be there to defend the rights of consumers. Now, this new Homes Ombudsman will have the ability to compensate homeowners up to £50,000 if they find that a house builder has done something wrongful to the homeowner or something wrongful in the way that they've built the home or the service they provided for that homeowner. Now, this service will be free to homeowners and consumers to report any complaints that they have. All that homeowners need to do is report any issues that they have with the house builder to the New Homes Ombudsman within 2 years. And also they will need to give the house builder at least 8 weeks the opportunity to actually resolve the complaint or the issue that they have. If their complaint or issue is not resolved after 8 weeks and they approach the New Homes Ombudsman within 2 years of the issue actually happening, then that homeowner will be able to go to the New Homes Ombudsman and get them to investigate the issue. And if they find that the house builder has done something wrong, then they'll either be able to compensate the homeowner for whatever damages or loss they've experienced, or put serious pressure onto the house builder to fix whatever the issue is. The New Home Ombudsman will also have the ability to remove the membership of a house builder, which means that they won't be able to sell any new build properties under the Help to Buy scheme. This is a major benefit for people buying properties under the Help to Buy scheme, because currently if you have any issues with a house builder that's not resolved, so say you've got a faulty roof and they're refusing to fix it, or they're denying responsibility, or you got faulty plumbing or something like that, then you will have to go and get a solicitor and then possibly go to court. And the reason why this is a problem is because it costs money, and sometimes it can be very difficult for homeowners to actually afford to get a solicitor on board and to take their matter to court, especially when there's a chance that they may lose. A lot of people don't have that money to fight a complaint as far as that. And so by having this New Home Ombudsman, which is a free service to homeowners, it will actually strengthen consumers' rights. If there's any issues with the building that a homeowner's bought, they'll be able to approach that New Home Ombudsman, and that New Home Ombudsman will be able to act on their behalf, investigate the issue, and have the ability to impose quite serious penalties on the home builder, but also compensate the homeowner for any losses that they've experienced. Now, the government has said that initially this is going to be voluntary for any house builders that are not building new homes that are sold on the Help to Buy scheme. It will be mandatory for any house builders that want to build a property that's sold under the Help to Buy scheme. But they said eventually it will be mandatory for any house builder or any organisation that plans to build a new home and sell it. So it's going to be a major benefit to the housing industry more widely. But initially they said it's only going to be voluntary for non-Help to Buy house builders. The first takeaway from this video is that if I was buying a new build property, or if I was looking at buying a new build property, then I'd be looking for a new build property where I could get a lease length at least 250 years long, or ideally 999 years, and I'll be looking for a new build property where I wouldn't have to pay any ground rent at all. And also I'll be looking for a new build property where I'll have the right as a resident to manage my property. It won't just be handed over to some independent management company that doesn't answer to me, that answers to the freeholder. So those are the three main things I'll be looking for: a very long lease, no ground rent to pay at all, and a building where the residents manage the maintenance of that building. The second takeaway is that if I was in the process of buying a new build property or buying a property under the Help to Buy scheme, I'll be speaking to my solicitor about how different my lease is to these changes. Because if I don't have a long lease, I'm going to be paying ground rent, and I won't have any right to manage my building. I would want to go back to the person I would want to go back to the house builder I'm buying that property off and renegotiate the terms. If I found that I wasn't able to change the terms of the agreement to align with the changes that are being made to the industry, then I would strongly consider not going through with the purchase of that property and looking at new build properties where I can take advantage of a very long lease with no ground rent, and where I can manage the building with other residents, because I think those are very valuable benefits to have as a leaseholder. So that brings us to the end of the video. Please let me know what you think about these changes down in the comments. Also, let me know, did you know about these changes, or is this the first time you're hearing about them? If it is the first time you're hearing about them, has it changed your mind about the Help to Buy scheme and also about new builds more generally? Please let me know down in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this video, give the video a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.